Hello everyone, and welcome once again to my channel. Today we will be learning how to add and subtract surds, the addition and the subtraction of surds. In my last video I did show us how we can simplify surds, but today we want to learn how to add and subtract surds. Now, two or more surds can be added together or subtracted from one another if they are like surds. Now, before addition or subtraction, the surds should first be simplified if possible. Now, we all know what a like fraction is. A like fraction is one that the denominators are the same. Now, a like surd is one in which the value within the square root are the same. If you have two or more surds and the number within the square root is the same, then that means that that surd is a like surd. For example, in this example that we have here, we have 4 root 2 and 6 root 2. We have root 2 and root 2. This means that what? These surds are like surd. But please note, it is only after you have simplified the surds, then you now check the value inside the square root to confirm if they are like surds or not. You don't just look at a given question and just say that they are like surds just because they have the same number. It is after you have simplified the surd, then you now look at the value or the number within the square root, and then you can now decide whether they are like surds or not. So let's go. First of all, we're looking at how to add surds, and we have two questions in the addition aspect. It says simplify the following, and you can see the first one says 4 root 2 plus 6 root 2. Now, we can see that they both have the same numbers in their what? Square root. But we can also see that we cannot simplify each of these surds. So in this case, what do you do? Since you have identified that they cannot be simplified and that they have the same numbers within the square root, that is, they are like surds. Now, when it comes to adding, what you do is that you add the whole numbers together and then you pick one of the the surds, and this is how you do it. So since we have 4 root 2 plus 6 root 2, you now take the whole numbers and add it together, like saying 4 plus 6 in bracket, and then you collect the like terms of one of the roots, which is now root 2. So 4 plus 6 will now give you what? 10, and that will be 10 times root 2, which will now give you 10 root 2. So in adding of surds, what do? You add the whole numbers together, and then you now multiply by one of the square roots, since they are now like terms. So 4 root 2 plus 6 root 2 will now give you 10 root 2. Let's go to the second one. Now, the second one, you can see a slight difference from the first one. They do not have the same roots, and we've not yet simplified them. So what you do, first of all, in this case, we'll have 3 root 8 plus root 50. You have to first of all simplify each of them individually before you can now see if they have the like surds or not. So let's start with the first one, which is 3 root 8. Simplifying 3 root 8, we write 3, which is the whole number, times. You think of two numbers, the two factors of 8, in which one of them must be a perfect square. Those two numbers will be what? 4 and 2. Then you now write your plus, this plus. Then you now do the same thing for 50. You think of two factors of 50, in which that one of them is a perfect square. And those two factors are what? 25 times root 2. For this side, you find the square root of 4, which will give you what? 2 times root 2. And here you find the square root of 25, which will give you what? 5 times root 2. You multiply the whole numbers together. 3 times 2 is 6 times root 2 will give you 6 root 2 plus 5 times root 2 will give you what? 5 root 2. Now at this point you can see that what? They have now become like surds because each of them have a root 2 attached to them. So what do? You now collect the whole numbers, you add them together. 6 plus 5 times 12 times root 2. Then you now have what? 11 times root 2, which will give you 11 root 2. So please note, when you're adding surds, first of all, you simplify the surds if it can be simplified. Then you now check to see if they are like surds, which means they have the same number under their square roots. Then if they have the same number under the square roots, which means they are like terms, you now add the whole numbers that are attached to them. If there are no whole numbers, it means that the number in front of them will be 1. We'll get to that when we get to later aspects of surd. But when you've added the whole numbers, then you now multiply your result by the surd, that is the like surd, and you now get your final answer. So let's go to the next one, which is subtraction of surds. We have 3 root 5 minus 7 root 5. And you can see that root 5 exists in both of the surds, which means they are like surds. So in this case, what you do, you go ahead and you subtract the whole numbers. In the addition, you add the whole numbers, but in subtraction, once you have simplified and they are now like surds, what do? You add the whole numbers and then you multiply it by one of the surds. So in this case, we're going to have in bracket 3 minus 7 times root 5, which is one of the surds. So 3 minus 7 will give you minus 4 times root 5, which will give us minus 4 root 5. That's the answer. Now, to the second example under subtraction, you can see that we have 3 root 2 minus root 18. 3 root 2 cannot be simplified any further, but let's look at root 18 and see if we can simplify it. Represent it with 2 of its factors, which is 9 and root 2. Then what do we do next? We find the square root of 9, which is 3 times root 2. Then we multiply 3 times root 2, which gives us 3 root 2. And so the question now turns to 3 root 2 minus 3 root 2. And 3 root 2 minus 3 root 2 will equal to what? 0. And that will be the answer. So once again, in subtraction of surds, the first thing you need to do is first of all simplify the surds, and to ensure that they are they become like terms. Then when they have become like terms, what do? You subtract the whole numbers from each other, and then you multiply what is left by the like surds to get your answer. So I hope this video is very helpful to you. And if you really like the video, please give us a thumbs up and a like. Also, drop any question you may have in the comment section, and also hit the notification bell to get notified whenever I release any of my other videos. Thank you, and see you next time.